far as the writers start, a lot of them, they come to do a big change on Peter, a big change on Mary Jane. You have done more, in my opinion, to grow the supporting cast, and I thank you for that.
It's because I hate Peter and Mary Jane. Did you get that on YouTube?
That's what all the...
Yes. I want that on a clip. I did this thing in Miami where I was talking about how I thought Mary Jane is very anti-Marvel because she's so... the fact that she's drawn by John Romita Sr., she's like a supermodel woman. That like in the world of Peter Parker, I'm used to like a Betty Brant, I'm used to a Liz Allen, I'm used to a... And that got taken so out of context. And oh my God, and this one YouTube clip, it haunts me. So I'm waiting for how this is going to mess me up. Oh, it shows up on so many message boards. Dan Slott hates Mary Jane and thinks she's anti-Marvel.
Where does your relationship with Spider-Man start as a fan?
Yay. Oh, I'm not telling you that.
Good people can pick up the latest Amazing Spider-Man at their local comic shop.
One of the things I like very much about Doc Ock, that when you see all of his love interests, when you see the woman who is really Stunner, when you see different people that, when he's a teenager, when they show flashbacks, there are always people who are unconventionally beautiful. And it's a terrible way to phrase it, unconventionally beautiful, because the reality is we're all beautiful. Everyone is beautiful. And that whenever we see Peter in love with someone, they're not just everyone is beautiful, they're all drawn by John Romita Sr. and J. Scott Campbell, and they feel like you wandered into a set where you got the wrong casting agent. Like suddenly everyone from Melrose Place is walking through the door. And that's not the world of Peter Parker. Over the years, they start adding more backstory to Mary Jane. She had this troubled past and her family and this. They almost had to layer it into it over the years. And everyone goes, well, that's progression. No, it's not progression. It's more course correction, than progression. Where it's kind of neat. But where Anna Maria came, I want, Doc, I think, and when I'm saying this, people are going to go, oh, he's putting Doc Ock above Peter. No, we're all different. We all have different strengths, and we all have different weaknesses. And nobody's got more weaknesses than Peter Parker. That's what makes him fun. He screws up the way we screw up. He doesn't screw up the way a superhero screws up. He screws up the way your best friend screws up, and you screw up, and your cousin. Oh, that screw up. That's Peter Parker. He's us. He has feet of clay. So that means there has to be elements of Doc Ock where he does something better than Peter Parker. There has to be elements of every character in the universe that does something better than Peter Parker. That's the fun of it. And one of those elements is that Doc Ock that seems to be one of his abilities, is that he's this kind of like chubby nerd with a bad bowl cut and glasses. He's sometimes able to look into people and see their inner beauty and to see what makes them valuable in a way that Peter Parker hasn't really had the opportunity to be, because he gets a parade of John Romita Sr. and J. Scott Campbell women in his life. That I wanted to have someone that you go, I really like this character, and she's awesome. To me, the most fun of writing Anna Maria is when, you don't even think about, the fact that she is a little person. She is a little person, but that's not who she is. We're not all defined by that one thing. We're not all defined by the first thing people see when they see us. So that's the fun of it. My favorite thing I like about her is when she's nervous, she cooks and she bakes.
That's why I like her so much. I really can relate to that so much. You write these relatable things into these characters that work so organically. Where did Spider-Man touch you in that way as a fan reading it? What was your Galactus trilogy for Spider-Man?
What was my thing that for me the thing that the story I loved the most as a kid, the one that there were these two pivotal Spider-Man stories. One, I was very lucky when the era I was growing up when I was reading Spider-Man, because I got to read 3 eras of Spider-Man at the same time. because there was the books that were coming out, which were around the Ross Andrew time. Then there were Marvel Tales, which were hitting the John Romita Sr. time. And then the pocket comics that were coming out, which were the Lee Ditkos. So you're getting Lee Ditko, these little things you can carry around. Back at, the Marvel Tales of the old days, you're getting 3 eras of Spider-Man. So as a kid, you're just like, yes, let it wash over me, let all of it wash over me. I love this. So I remember, like, the 2 stories that affected me the most, like, when I was, like, between 8 and 10, were the Living Brain issue. It was like Spidey 8, because that's the issue where Peter and Flash are squabbling, and the gym coach says, I'm going to put you in a boxing ring, and you're going to settle it out after school. And Peter was like, this is great! I have spider strength! I'm going to destroy Flash in front of everyone! And he's like, I finally get to beat the hell out of Flash! This is great! And as a kid, you have bullies, you have people picking on you in school, and you're reading this, and you're like, this is going to be the most awesome issue ever! And if you know the story, of course, everything Peter Parker's. Everything Peter Parker is in that story, which is great. So I think all the best Spider-Man stories are monkey's paws. You get what you want, but not the way you want it. When they're not. And the other one was I want to say Amazing 90, but I read it in Marvel Tales, so it has a different number. But it was the death of Captain Stacy.
Sorry, spoilers.
Yeah,
we should have warned you. Another thing you'll get in trouble for.
But with the death of Captain Stacy, I was reading these 3 eras at the same time, and it never dawned on me why Captain Stacy wasn't around in the present. Maybe he was just out for coffee or something.
It wasn't a real tough case, undercover.
Yeah, so when I hit that issue in Marvel Tales, it destroyed me. It gutted me. It was like the first time, the thing that broke me about the Captain, and I was reading this as a little kid, was Spidey's origin. And in Spidey's origin, he has the power and he doesn't use it. And Uncle Ben pays the price. With Captain Stacy, he did everything he could, and he still dies. And it's like, this is horrifying. That you live in this unjust universe. And you lose your second father figure. And you were doing everything you tried. Oh, God, I was gutted. That scene. And then the topper, when Captain Stacy tells him Peter, and he knew the secret the whole time, and you realize that all these years Captain Stacy was Pete Rossing him, and you're like, oh, my God, and he's dead. Oh, and you're like, oh, I was bawling. And I made very sure not to let my parents know that this comic book made me cry. Because I watched an episode of Speed Racer where it traumatized me, and I never got to see part 2 because my parents said, you're never watching that show again. You're not allowed to watch it. Look what this show did you. I'm like, I can't let them think it was Spider-Man. I can't let them know. Captain Stacy is killing me. So yeah, so those 2 were like, those are my 2 poles of Spider-Man. I love that.
I want to turn it over to you guys for.
There we go.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I started out reading your comics, and then I read a comic where I forget which one it was, but you were or Peter Parker was asked to meet with Doc Ock while he was on his deathbed, and so he came disguised as Spider-Man, and they started talking, and then next thing we know, they were basically switched minds.
Oh, they switched minds before?
Yeah, I was very confused by that. One, because I couldn't quite figure out how he did it.
Oh, they switched minds before. So the secret was, throughout that whole story, that was Doc Ock pretending to be Peter Parker. And when they met Peter Parker, you see Doc Ock, and he goes, oh, I'm Peter Parker. So they switch in between. They switch after when they had the fights of the Hobgoblins, the 2 Hobgoblins. There was you can see it in the panel. There's a little Octobot running around, And then later we revealed that that's how it happened. But we couldn't show you before, or it would ruin the twist of 698.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I read that, and then the next comic I read, I should not have read because it showed Peter Parker back in his own body, and I was very confused how that happened. Because the same time period that I read those comics was actually just last summer, and I literally read multiple times where Peter Parker died. I was a wreck. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, and
That's why I would do it.
but
No, same way that Captain Stacy wrecked me. That, you know, it's like you guys watch Game of Thrones, and you don't want anyone safe. We want you thinking because these guys have been around for 50 years, and we're going, oh, nothing's ever going to happen to Spider-Man. Nothing's ever going to. Everybody's safe. It'll be back that way in 2 issues, and we have to work really hard to make you go, what? No! Why? You know, so that's what's the trick.
yeah,
What's the
so I was just wondering what gave you the idea to make that really crazy plot twist?
Drugs.
That's why you spent.
Oh,
31
no. What gave me the idea? I was writing I wrote Amazing Spider-Man 600. The way I work comics is I write them close to what's called Marvel style, where I write a plot where it tells the artist, here's everything you need to draw. Then they draw it, and then I get the art back, and then I write script. So it's kind of like adding sound over a silent movie. And I can tailor it to match the gifts that the artist has given me in the art. Like, you know, little expressions a character might have or a way a scene plays, and that way I can tailor the script to meet the art. So it means in a weird way I write every issue twice. And so when I was scripting Amazing Spider-Man 600, and I was writing that for the second time, I was coming at it with a fresh pair of eyes. And when I saw the scene where John Romita Jr. has him like, he's going to take control over all these Doc Ock machines all over the city, and he puts this helmet on that's Doc Ock's like mind helmet, so that he can use his own mind to shut down all the machines. And in that story, we also found out Doc Ock was dying and had a year left to live. When I was writing that the second time, I went, Doc Ock is dying, he has a year left to live, and you're putting your brain in Doc Ock's mind helmet. You're an idiot, Spider-Man. He's going to find a way to swap brains with you. You've given Doc Ock your brain back. I'm like, oh, that's good. So that's where the idea came from. It was never Spider-Man and a villain are going to swap. It always came out of that 600 story. It always came out of Doc Ock did this and Spider-Man did that, and oh my God, that means Doc Ock can swap brains with him. Because it wasn't just about swapping with any villain. It was swapping with a villain who had like hours left to live. And I'm like, oh, that's so good. I like that. Because you'll read that story, you'll be on the edge of your seat. Where like, my body is dying, but I'm Peter Parker, and I must stop here. I'm like, yay. Anything that makes you kind of go, oh.
Anything that lets you lie to children for that long.
Yeah, I love lying to children. And drugs. YouTube.
Before we got to get him down. Anyone else next?
Do you have a question?
So I think Joker's the best thing that came out of the original thing.
That is all Robbie Thompson. Like I wrote like 3 to 6 issues where we introduced Cindy, and then they went, okay, Robbie, what can you do with this thing? And oh my God, it's so good. So like what Robbie and the team are doing on stuff, Umberto and I are so lucky because they took this thing we created and they have spun so much gold out of it.
Yeah, that was kind of my question. Like, what was the assignment for original thing? Like, what did they tell you needed to do for this?
I really didn't want to do it. Here I was like getting ready to do like a whole new Amazing Spider-Man 1, and it was the return of Peter Parker. And I wanted to do this big story with Black Cat and really flesh it out and have her go completely evil. And that was the arc I want to do, and then I got this binocular. Oh, by the way, this has to be original sin. And I went, can I do an original Spider-Man annual and do original sin over there? Because I want to do this thing. No, it has to be in here. Because you have avoided so many of our crossovers, and we have to show that Spider-Man is in this, and that this crossover has merit. You have to take part. And so they came to us and said it has to be a big secret. It could be a secret that was kept from Spider-Man, or a secret that Spider-Man has, but it has to be a big secret down to the core. And I went, what if the spider, after it bit him, bit one more person, and they got spider powers? And they went, and they're like, who is it? I'm like, well, it's not a guy, because that would be boring. You know,
you got enough boy superheroes.
Yeah, so I was like, I always knew it was going to be a woman. So I was like, we have so many Spider-Women. At that point, we didn't. I was like, okay, it's a woman, and you know what? We need to have more diversity. I don't want to see a white woman become Spider-Woman again. So I was like, okay, she's Asian, and she's this, and she was at that. Why would she be at that science fair exhibit? And what was she doing? And who is she? And then I get on the idea of, oh, when Moreland showed up, you know, Peter was made that deal by Ezekiel. Do you want to go inside this thing? Oh, you have to stay there for a year. And Peter went, screw that. I'm not going in that bunker for a year. And I thought, like, because everyone said, well, where has she been all this time? And I went, oh, what if Ezekiel came to her like almost on day one and said, you are such a powerful spider, Moreland will find you. You have to go into the bunker now. And I was like, and now in the present she comes out. And everyone went, that's not bad. So that's where, and then the fun I was having with that, I'm totally going to screw this up. Who's the other girl in Frozen? It's Elsa and Anna. Okay. So I was all like, you know, it would be really fun. The second she comes out, it's like, oh my God, look at all this cool stuff they have. You know, and then that became fun. Like, you know, it was very much like Daryl Hannah in Splash. Like, what is this world? I'm out of this bunker. It was great. But it was the idea of being in a bunker since, you know, like 15 years. Like, how has the world changed in 15 years? Like, why can't I get on Comcast?
Why doesn't anybody have a VCR?
Why? Yeah, exactly. She had all her VHS tapes in the bunker.
Got time for a couple more.
Yeah. I got to ask Green Lantern. Okay. Well, of course. All of them.
Which doctor? He's making you pick one.
The honest answer is the present doctor. Whichever doctor is the present doctor is the doctor I want to write. Because I want my story to mean something. No, you always want to write the present guy. So it's no reflection on any of the other ones, but oh God, I would kill the right doctor this thing.
You got to meet Capaldi yesterday.
I did. I got to meet Capaldi.
Are the rumors true? Is he actually just a really lovely one?
I have not met a single Doctor Who person on the show, or writer, or member of the staff who hasn't been a fantastic ambassador to the show. They're all just such wonderful people. Oh, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle shirt, please.
What was your favorite series that you wrote?
That I wrote. This is going to sound self-serving, but I think the working on Surfer has just been, it's so much fun on so many different levels. He's like my first hero that I was introduced to. He was the guy I kind of did stuff with in college, and I was like, ah. And really, working with Mike Allred and Laura Allred, they are the happiest, nicest, most positive people, never a bad thing to say about anyone, really into just making comics and making them the best they can, and they're both so full of energy and positivity that I can just get an email and it says it's from Mike, and it doesn't even have art in it or anything, I immediately get happy. I'm like, oh, Mike sent me an email. Let's see what Mike said. Hey, Mike. You meet the Allreds and you'll fall under their spell. They're just wonderful people. So, and he's really into it too. And it's everyone on the team just trying to do their best work and trying to tell the best stories. And we're something like 19 issues in, and I don't mean to jinx it, but I don't think we've dinged one yet. There are runs in Spider-Man, I'll tell you right now. That 2-part Molten Man story during Brand New Day, oh, that was terrible. That was terrible. Every now and then you just ding one and you go, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. The